Welcome to Frolic Harder, and welcome to episode number 3. Thomas
from Myspace. Tom, your first
Thomas.
friend. Everybody's first friend, Tom.
Everybody's first friend. My name is Matt. Joining me as always, my co-host and original top 8 member, Brennan.
I love how you work that in there. Yeah, you always had to. I'll get to the top 8 in this as well, but you know what? It's an honor, sir. So we are going to talk to you about this little thing called Myspace.
What is that?
It was a global phenomenon. I don't know anybody that grew up kind of in that era, the Myspace era, if you will, of the mid to late 2000s. Everybody had a Myspace. It was Facebook before Facebook.
Like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah, you got to keep the little digital pet alive, and you got to pick up its poop. It's just like life simulator. That's all the thing ever was. You got to feed it, poop it.
Always back to poop.
And it's always back to poop. Last week's episode, we had Taco Bell, which, induces poop. The week before that, it was all about where poop goes. It's just poop, poop, poop all the time.
We'll get away from it.
No, we won't. don't lie to our dear listeners here. So let's talk about this thing that it consumed everybody's life.
Tell me more.
When you think about it, if you had to take a guess, back when this was at its peak, how many hours a day do you think you spent on Myspace on an average day?
Too many.
Probably several hours every single day.
Equal to schooling. Yeah.
Yeah, probably equal to the amount of school year. It was a thing. Everybody was on it all the time. It's how you stay connected to your friends. It was that and like AOL Instant Messenger, where like they went hand in hand. They peaked out at the same time. So MySpace peaked in 2003. This was when we were still in high school. So this was the way that you connected to your friends outside of the classroom. Because even in 2003, smartphones didn't exist. If you had a cell phone, you were in the 1%. You were the elite at that point. I had a T-Mobile Sidekick back in the day. So that's how
Sidekicks were the best.
That's how I stayed connected. And as Matt can attest, I mean, back in the day, my Sidekick didn't even make calls. I just texted people.
Yep.
So I absolutely just had it for the texting and the AOL instant messaging, because that is how everything was done outside of, in person and on MySpace. So it launched in 2003. And it was really the first social network site to reach a global audience. So it was the first time you really had one community where you could be friends with someone in Germany, Netherlands, France, Tennessee. Didn't matter where you were from. You could connect with people all around the world. And, when looking kind of back at this, it was really influenced initially by new technology, pop culture, and music. It was really kind of cool, and I'll get to this later, but you could really customize your MySpace page to reflect your personality in more ways than kids these days will ever know, because MySpace it still exists, but nobody does anything on it anymore. So back in the day,
not yet. They don't.
Maybe not yet. I mean, maybe we'll be able to buy MySpace and just bring it back and revitalize it ourselves. And the price of that website gets cheaper and cheaper. I'm also going to touch on that later. It has changed hands multiple times. So the one thing that a lot of people may or may not realize was how influential this website was on future websites and how the internet kind of evolved over time. Because the internet was not really in its infancy, but it was a toddler at this point. It was just a little baby. So if it weren't for MySpace, we would not have websites such as YouTube, Zynga, if you know, they do all those mobile games and everything. And
I was about to ask you what a Zynga was.
Yeah, Zynga was a mobile game company where you could play video games on your phone. And PhotoBucket. If you remember PhotoBucket back in the day,
remember PhotoBucket.
That was nobody had a spot where you could just host all of your digital pictures. So everybody had, if you had a MySpace, you likely had a PhotoBucket account where you kept all of your pictures. Not that you couldn't do that on your MySpace page, but it was just a way of kind of filing them away to where if you wanted them later, you had them. It really peaked. during this time in the late 2000s, it was the largest social network worldwide between 2005 and 2009. So 2005, I really feel like personally, that's when I noticed it peak, because in 2003, it was brand new. Everybody was kind of feeling it out, kind of tempering expectations of what you could do there. 2005, that's where you lived. You lived on this website. Again, Facebook didn't exist yet. So from that era, that's where everybody lived. You lived on this website. And in July of 2005, MySpace was bought from its original co-founders, Tom, and it was a guy named Tom Anderson and Chris DeWolf were the co-founders. So
Hey, Tom.
once once they sold the company, it actually sold. They made a killing on this for $580 million.
Get that bag, Tom. Get
you got
that
the bag.
bag.
The 580 million, it probably would have sold for several billion in today's money, even though that was only a mere 15 or so years ago. But as you know, everything got more expensive over time. So that 580 million probably would have been for a couple billion at this point, with how popular it was. So what was really neat was by June of 2006, it was the most visited website in the entire country, which is absolutely a little bit, it's kind of hard to imagine that one single website that was kind of brand new at that point, it only got created 3 years prior at that point, was the most visited website in the entire country here. And that kind of goes back to where I said, if you weren't hanging out with your friends, you were on MySpace hanging out with them. The problem with that was in 2009, Facebook kneecapped them. They just took their whole kneecaps out. It was done. Blew their ACLs like I did. Dead. They just killed him. So the Mark Zuckerberg way to just shoot him down.
Stupid.
It is stupid. So when looking back at this, it's all this craziness and money is exchanging hands and everything. I got a little surprised by who had their fingers dipped in the ownership of MySpace.
Oh. Do tell.
So, like I said, they were sold in 2005 by News Corporation for $580 million. But in 2011, in June of 11, there's a company called Specific Media Group plus Justin Timberlake bought MySpace for, remember, it was sold initially for $580 million.
Okay.
This will show you how far after Facebook killed them that their value depreciated. You went from selling for $580 million. Specific Media Group and Justin Timberlake bought it for $35 million. That is, just to put it in perspective, it went from peak popularity to irrelevance that fast. You think of like the sustained popularity of Facebook and everything. Nah, MySpace was like, they lived fast and died hard. There was they were for the sprint, not the marathon.
That makes me sad.
It does.
Tom.
It does for Tom, but Tom wasn't always innocent. We're going to get to that in a second here. So I'm just kind of bringing us up to speed on who owns it, where it went. So after it sold for $35 million to a Specific Media Group, Justin Timberlake, in 2016, it was revitalized. Believe it or not, I don't remember any part of that because I dipped out, but they sold, they made a $35 million investment and sold it to Time Incorporated for $87 million. Okay. They made a pretty good chunk of money. They made money. They've always been headquartered in LA, which was kind of, made sense. If it wasn't in Silicon Valley, it was going to be in the Los Angeles area. So like I said, these two guys, Tom Anderson and Chris DeWolf, co-founded this company. And they kind of each brought their own little sprinkle of magic into it, if you will. Chris was more of the tech guy. Tom was more of a visionary. So let's get to Chris first. We're going to talk about Chris. We're going to leave Tom the best for last.
Okay.
So Chris DeWolf, he came up with MySpace after taking a school course titled "The Impact of Technology on Media and Entertainment." So he sat back and said, we've got all these different websites. They all kind of do individual things. What if we all just have them just orgy together and just make one website? So he did his research and he figured there was elements from this website called City Search that he wanted to incorporate with Match.com and integrate some kind of a messaging system to stay connected with your friends. He just didn't know how to do it yet. Later on, we'll find out that, it was Tom that had the idea on what to do with all that information. So if you remember when I was talking earlier about Zynga and you were like, what's that? Yeah. They do mobile games. Well, Chris co-founded Zynga. That's how it kind of comes full circle. And they do mobile games. I would say probably their most notable 2 games, in my opinion, is Family Guy, The Quest for Stuff.
I love that game.
Great game. I played that.
Such a good game.
Yep, that was Chris DeWolf. So he did that, and he also did. Yeah, that was Chris. He did that. That was the magic that he brought.
I'm gonna re-download that now.
Yeah, I think I might still have it. I'm gonna have to pop back on there and get some more costumes for my Family Guy characters doing ridiculous stuff, because that's what you're on the quest for. And the other game that I would say he was most notable for having an influence on was maybe a little bit more widely received, was Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. Oh. That was also Chris DeWolf, which I would say came out more recently than the Family Guy game. So now he kind of was off on his individual thing, and Tom was just doing Tom things. And when I mean Tom things, he got his fingers dirty in some stuff.
Yeah.
Tom wasn't the innocent first friend that everybody thought they had.
He killed someone, huh?
No, he didn't quite kill anybody, but some folks may consider his white collar crime a little worse. So Tom, funny enough, went to high school right in the city that I live now, down in the San Diego area. There's a town called Escondido. Tom went to San Pasqual High School. I live right by there now. I never knew that. So when Tom was just a wee lad back in the day, living through his innocence, if you will, Tom decided, you know what? I'd be a pretty good computer hacker. So I did a little sleuthing myself. I found his computer hacker handle. You want to take a guess at what his handle was?
White bread.
It's better than that. His hacker handle was Lord Flathead. That was Tom. That was Tom's hacker name. He was known in the dark web as Lord Flathead. And one day, Tom woke up, or Lord Flathead woke up, and he said, you know what? I'm going to hack Chase Manhattan Bank today.
Okay.
So he did.
As one does.
He hacked a very large bank. There are always consequences to your actions, as you might assume. So I imagine him there just clicking away at his keyboard, just going, I'm stealing a bunch of money from these rich people, Chase Manhattan Bank. Except for then he hears knock, knock, knock. It's the FBI raiding his house all of a sudden.
Very nice.
Yeah. So our innocent first friend, Tom, was a hacker that got raided by the FBI because he did very naughty things, children.
How old is Tom when he did this?
I don't recall his age, but it was well before the Facebook Chronicles. Here.
Okay.
The MySpace Chronicles.
The Chronicles of Narnia.
The Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah, that's exactly right. So those were his humble beginnings before he co-founded MySpace with Chris DeWolf over here. They met up and, they crossed paths at one point, and Chris, was explaining how he had this grand idea. And Tom said, well, let's just interlock those and make a baby. So MySpace was born off of Chris's ideas and Tom's intuition on what he should do with it. Everybody had those, everybody's got those rough steps. Everybody's been smacked on the back of the wrist before, but not everybody's been raided by the FBI.
No.
So usually at that point, the rest of your life is pretty much downhill. You peaked. You're done. Lord Flathead is done. But not when you're
not Thomas.
Not Thomas. So Thomas went on to do great things, make a ton of money, and he today lives his life as a nature photographer. So he travels the world and does nature landscape photography. That is what he's doing to this day.
He's a Nat Geo guy now.
Lord Flathead is a Nat Geo guy. I just want him to be known as Lord Flathead now. I don't ever want to call him Tom from MySpace anymore.
We can do that.
I just want, you know what? We should title this episode Lord Flathead.
Is it Lord Flathead now?
This is Lord Flathead now. So
welcome to episode 3, Lord Flathead.
Yeah, we just changed this mid-episode. It wasn't planned that way. So this is just Lord Flathead now. So I'm trying to come up with some ideas here, and I'm thinking back, reaching back in my brain box, going through my mind palace, all the files back there. I started thinking, what did I like about MySpace? What did you like about MySpace back in the day?
What did you like about MySpace?
What I liked about MySpace specifically was that you had the ability to customize everything you wanted.
Yeah, you did.
If you wanted glitter text on there, you could put flashing glitter text on your page. If you wanted it specific colors or a specific background, you got your HTML skills on and you built it yourself. You can't do that on MySpace or on Facebook anymore, or ever. You never were able to.
Mark, you bitch.
I'm sure most of our listeners out there at some point has seen the movie The Social Network. If you remember kind of the way that Mark Zuckerberg explained the website when it was just in his infancy, his buddy there, Mr. Savron, wanted to add ads to Facebook to make money.
Was that Spider-Man?
Yes, it was. That was Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. So that was Spider-Man. That was Peter Parker. So Peter Parker wanted to add ads to Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg's response to that was, it's cool. That's what it has going on for it right now. Well, I started thinking about it. MySpace never really had ads. It was always ad-free. There was never anything telling me I need to buy camping equipment because I talked about a cooking stove one day. And now Facebook listens to everything you do. MySpace never did that. They let you. Thank you. You know what? They just let you live your life. They weren't in your business. They just let you be you. So that's one of the things I took away. I never had ads shoved in my face. The one thing that we have that is lived on today is selfies. Everybody is taking selfies. For those of you kids that weren't maybe even alive at this point, MySpace is where that started. That is where selfies were revolutionized. So even if you don't know it today, you're influenced by this website that just died so long ago, but is somehow still alive. So it's one of those things, everybody's got an origin story. Selfie's origin story is MySpace. The one thing that I thought about, I'm like, what annoyed me about MySpace though? There's always the yin with the yang. On MySpace, everybody could see when you were logged on. And that was kind of revolutionary at the time. If you remember, if you were looking at like your top 8 or whatever, right?
Yep.
It would have this little green icon with an orange silhouette of a person that would say online now if you were also logged in on that website. So you knew if you were sending your friend a message, they were ignoring it if they didn't respond to you. That was the first ghosting experience people would get because you knew they were reading it. You could see that they were there, but they just never responded. And that's how you really differentiated your friends from your foes at that point. You knew where you stood with your inner circle, if you will.
That's where heartbreak was invented.
It is. And back in the day, that top 8, that's really, you had on your homepage, you would have your top 8 friends. And what it showed you was their profile pictures. It was 4 and 4. It was 2 rows.
You were letting everyone know who your ride or dies were.
That's exactly right. So you knew who your ride or dies were, but you also knew when you pissed somebody off. And you knew that you were in the doghouse when your friend removes you from your top 8. You've been demoted. Something happened. There's some kind of drama. You just gone from the top 8. You were beefing. That was where beef started. That's where seasoned beef came from.
Sometimes people are just better than you.
Sometimes people are just better than you, and you got to take your L and move on.
Yeah.
But if you got deleted, you never knew if you were number 9 out of the top 8. You could have been number 9. Could have been on the bubble. You also could have been 99th. You never knew. You just weren't in the top 8. And you can't really do that with your social media, if you will now. Your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram.
You remember TikToks. When MySpace got soft though, and the top 8 expanded to like 24.
Yeah, that was too much. Now you're adding people in just because you need to fill your page up. Maybe number 24, you don't even know. They're just some random person.
I don't know 24.
That's sad.
I don't know 24 people right now.
Yeah, exactly. The top 8 was perfect. They nailed that. That whole concept was perfect. What was really neat though is the music that you could add on your page. It was your flavor of the week, if you will. Whatever song was hot that you were in love with. Maybe it was hot in her.
This was the worst part for me.
The music?
The music.
Why
I
was it
love
the
the
worst part?
music. Let me tell you, because everyone has access to your page. They hear you change your song. If you remember around that time, emo music was
Oh
real big.
yeah. It was
You put
peak.
you slap on a real sad boy song,
You got MCR on
and
there.
everyone is just assuming, oh my God, this guy's about to kill himself.
Matt's about to commit suicide, everybody. He's got
What's wrong, buddy? I saw you change your song. Yeah. I fucking like this song.
Hey Matt, yesterday you had this really happy song on. Now you got Boulevard of Broken Dreams. What happened?
Yeah, that's
What
right.
See,
Nothing happened.
you
The
didn't
song
need it.
came out and it was good.
You weren't airing any dirty laundry.
No.
There's no drama in your life. It was just what you wanted.
Yeah. Sometimes I was sad though.
Sometimes you were, but
Fucking
it doesn't
Get off my case.
Get off my back, everybody. So, do you remember yourself what your favorite MySpace music was that you had on your personal page?
It was probably Avenged Sevenfold at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's peak. That completely makes sense.
That was there. A lot of The Used
Yeah,
was on there. All the sad stuff.
all the sad stuff. I remember having
The sadder, the screamier, the better.
See, I mean, we probably changed the music on your page. Yeah, I'd say your average person maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. So you cycled music in pretty frequently. There was one particular song, I don't know why this one stuck out in my head, that I probably had on my page for longer than all of the others. And for some reason, I remember Yellow Card, Lights and Sounds. For some reason, I remember that was on there for a minute. It was something about that. It was just a fun song. With the customization, though, all of your average folk, you learned how to do HTML on your page. Even if you didn't know what you were doing, you Google it. Just be like, how do you HTML on MySpace? And you get like a million walkthroughs. Oh, you want to change the colors? You want to change the text? Here's how you do it. And you have the option to go like through the back door of your MySpace page. Go through the back door. But you basically
stuff.
Here we go. It's always coming full circle here. So you have the option to kind of go into like the build of your page, and you can make anything. You customize basically it any way you want it, which was really neat. And you could add backgrounds, you could add the music. I think you did through HTML. You had to do an embed code and everything. Even if you had no idea what you were doing, you'd be on there for an hour and you'd figure it out. You'd find a way. Life finds a way. So one of the last things that I personally wanted to touch on was bulletin boards. If you remember the bulletin boards, here's where you will remember what the bulletin board was mostly used for. Some people used it for blogging. Most people used it for surveys. If you remember those damn MySpace surveys, it's like, what was the city you grew up in? What did you last eat for lunch? What is your pet's name? What did you do? There was like 35 questions, and there was a new survey like every week, and it was so trendy to fill it out and put it on your bulletin board.
I kind of remember these.
That way the FBI comes knocking on your door. They said, well, you put all this dirty laundry on your bulletin board. Like, what are you talking about? Well, you said the last place on your survey on MySpace. What was the last activity you put? And you said robbing Chase Manhattan Bank. What's that all about? So, just don't air personal stuff on there. But I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite MySpace memory?
Oh, none. Zero.
I want to say that's probably the correct
changing the song on the page was about as great as it got.
It's just kind of the way you were letting everybody.
It's just like a wave of like really cringy photos and like top 24s and it's horrible. It's so bad.
It really was. That was the correct answer that I was looking for.
Yeah.
You don't have a favorite memory of
no.
Nobody does. You just remember things about it. You remember that part of your life.
You know what the best part about it is, though?
What's that?
Unlike Facebook, MySpace doesn't remind you of all of your cringeworthy moments in life. Facebook makes sure you're up to date on that.
That's
You
true.
remember what you did 10 years ago?
That's true.
You remember
They have
what you
the
did
Facebook
5
memories.
years ago?
You remember what you did last summer?
You remember what you did today?
Nope.
No.
I, however, do have a favorite Facebook memory.
Ah,
And you were part of this.
yes.
So there was a time and a place.
Oh, I hope I know what it is.
And a person that we contacted through MySpace. Because back in the day, our dear listeners here did not know that we once hosted another podcast. In fact, we hosted 2.
We did.
So this has been the band got back together here, but back in the day there was a band, and it consisted of both of us at one point, and there was also a character on Scrubs that we adored. He was a background character. He didn't really talk too much. Just saw him passing to hallways in almost every scene. Snoop Dogg Intern.
All right.
Was my favorite MySpace memory. For some reason, we hit this guy up and we just basically said, "Love what you're doing. Keep it up." And this dude started to interact with us for some reason. He wrote back. And I, to this day, I believe that us and Snoop Dogg Intern, we were MySpace friends. We were what you would consider MySpace friends. And everybody had them. It was somebody that you had never actually met, that you don't personally know. You just hit up one day and you were browsing different, people's profiles, as one does. Come across Snoop Dogg Intern, you got to say something.
That man was a celebrity to us.
He was. That was, we were big Scrubs fans. Zach Braff, still love what you're doing. Donald Faison.
Yeah.
I love that you guys are just the most heterosexual, homosexual friends in the world. Big fan of what you're doing there. But that guy, Snoop Dogg Intern, just never got the love he deserved. And I think he appreciated us. I think that he liked what we were doing, and we liked what he were doing, and we made a connection.
I think we just have another episode idea.
Scrubs.
Snoop Dogg Intern.
Snoop Dogg Intern.
Scrubs is too vast.
I don't know, man. It might be a.
And they already have a Scrubs podcast.
That's true. Was it like
ours is going to be better.
Real friends, fake doctors, or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Ours isn't going to be that good.
Ours is never going to be that good.
But if we focus on Snoop Dogg Intern, there's potential.
We'll find a way. But that's kind of all I had wrapped up for the MySpace episode and our friend Tom here. Sorry, Lord Flathead. Let me correct
Lord Flathead.
Lord Flathead.
Hashtag Thomas. Fine work today, sir.
I appreciate that, and I hope all you listening out here, kind of, if you grew up in that era, had a little walk down memory lane today. And if you're too young for that, I hope you got some education today, because the world was a better, simpler place back then. Now it's chaos.
It is chaos. So go out there, listen to your favorite emo track. If someone gives you shit about it, tell them to back off. You just want to be sad. It's okay to be sad.
That's
it's fine. Leave me alone.
Everything's okay.
It's cool.
It's going to be okay.
Tell them to F off, and then you tell them, run faster, jump higher, frolic harder.
Deuces.